Hi, I'm Kimberly Montgomery, and I want to welcome you to the new series, Interview with a Medium, where we ask all the big questions about the spirit world and life after life. In this premiere episode, I'm so excited to be joined by the wonderfully warm, talented, and charming Carolyn Molnar. Carolyn is a celebrated medium currently living and working in Toronto, Ontario. She has over 30 years' experience as a full-time medium and provides readings for those clients looking for psychic or mediumistic messages. She's also an author and has channeled the text It Is Time Knowledge from the Other Side and Compassionate Messenger True Stories from a Psychic Medium. She's been profiled in the Toronto Star, the National Post, the Globe and Mail, and was the Canadian correspondent for Psychic News, the spiritualist journal published in England. I'm so excited to have you join us, Carolyn. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you on this premiere episode of Interview with a Medium. So thank you so much for giving us your time. We learned a little bit about you in the intro, but can you tell us about how your gift started and how it kind of changed your life once you really realized what was going on?
The only way it changed my life is I got conscious about what was going on. It's been like this my entire life. I heard from my mother that I had a near-death experience in utero. She almost lost me, and there is a correlation between near-death and mediumship. So I don't think I had anything to do with that. It just happened. Around age 8, I had an experience where I was really sick with a cold. But I tend to be melodramatic, even in my younger age, multiplied by 10. And I just wanted to die. I was so sick. And my mother said, go to bed. So I didn't want to because I couldn't breathe. But she said, you need to go to bed. So I laid down on my bed and I put my hands up like this, like Morticia in the Addams Family, right? And I said, oh God, I just want to die. And with that, I closed my eyes and the door to my bedroom opened 12 times and shut with a click 12 times. And in my mind's eye, I'm seeing these big white columns of light. And they lined my bed, all the way around my bed. So that's fine. I fell asleep. And when I woke up, I wasn't sick anymore. So I really didn't think much about that. I just thought everybody had that experience. But when I think back now, I think that was my first experience of being with my guides and them wanting me to stay here and making me well again. So, and then fast forward it to probably age 19, I had my first reading and I was absolutely enthralled. I was captured. And she was an older woman who lived north, and I went to see her. She was well known. She was wonderful. And I came out of there thinking, I wonder if I could do that. And I thought, uh-oh. When I think back now, Spirit heard that and they have never let go since. Then fast forward a couple more years, I think I was 20 or 21. And my sister and I had gone to a very well-known psychic medium who worked with the police. And I found that with her, that really affected her. You see a lot of negative stuff. You may even experience, the crime scene in your mind and all that stuff. That's why I don't do that work. But we went down into I went on my own down into her family room, and it was lit with candles all the way around. And she had one of those televisions with the rabbit ears, right? And so she's talking to me and the candles start jumping and the rabbit ears are moving and nobody's touching them, right? And she's looking around the room going, oh gosh, this has never happened before. And as all this is happening, I'm thinking, I want out of here. She is saying such horrible negative stuff, which actually didn't turn out, thankfully. But when I left her, I had tunnel vision. I was so close to fainting. I was so upset. And so my sister and I, we both had the same experience with separate readings. So I looked at her and she looked at me and we said, let's go do some retail therapy to get well again. So we went into the department store, a local department store, and I held up a set of sheets that were twin sets, like for the single beds.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted a set of full sheets. And I went to pick up a set, or I held the set in my hand, and all of a sudden, out of my mouth says, not that I need to find a set of full sheets, but I need to find a medium. And what is that about? So I called my father, and okay, history with my father. He and I understood him. He's very close to the vest, not a big emoter. If I may say, very British, you know, kept to himself. But I thought, my father, why would I be wanting to talk to him? But I called him. I said, Dad, this is what's happened. I am scared out of my wits. Can you help me? And he says, yeah, I can help you. I can take you to my psychic. And I went, my psychic? What?
Yeah.
News to me. So anyways, we made the trip, and I saw her. She wasn't a woman of much means. She had a chrome, you know, kitchen set. You remember those old-fashioned arborite kitchen set? And I sat down on her kitchen table, and she took my hands, and I burst into tears. I never met the woman before. Here I am crying, like just bawling. And she grabbed my hands again, and she said, let's start again. And she was my mentor for over 20 years. She was the one that cemented all of my experiences with just living as a psychic, but now living as an understanding of a psychic. She was amazing. So that's my story in a roundabout way.
I have a question.
Sure.
And it's something that you just said. You said the understanding of being a psychic.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really where my next question was going to go. How did that realization that not only did you have an enhanced connection, but that this whole world that most of us are never introduced to in this lifetime became available to you? How did that change how you worked in the world and perceived the world?
Well, I'll have to say for the first 20 years, it was Sadie and me. She was my mentor. She kept encouraging me to find a community, and I said, no, I want to be with you. So she taught me everything she knew. She was a spiritualist minister, which is a recognized religion here in Canada. And she taught me how to read. She taught me how to teach. She was just amazing. And actually, near the end of her life, she gave me a reading on her deathbed.
She did.
Incredible. She lived her life as a psychic medium. And I was so lucky to be able to model my work after her. And when she passed into spirit, that's when things started to open up, where I met other people. I found out about the spiritualist church. I was always this way, but now I had a background and understanding that I wasn't always on my own this way. There are other people just like me.
Okay. All right. So can you share a couple of experiences that you had, one or two, in the very beginning that really solidified for you that life really does go on?
Okay. I had an uncle. I still have him, but he's in spirit. And I actually was, my daughter probably was about 3.5 years old, and she was naughty. So I said, you need to go to bed. You know, that behavior is unacceptable. So off to bed she went, into a room actually. And then all of a sudden I started seeing this white stuff flashing around me. And I don't normally see things directly, but they were puffs of smoke. And I'm thinking, uh-oh, Spirit's really mad at me for getting mad at my daughter. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to check the time. And it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And it seemed as though the energy was frantic. It was like somebody.
Energy, do you mean the energy that you were feeling in your body?
No, the white stuff, because that was energy, right? Those are spirit forms. I knew that, but there was a sense of, we're not prepared for whatever is happening here. And I didn't know what was happening because it was frantic. It was flashing like this. When I see an orb or a spirit, they usually kind of float along. But these guys were like moving fast, like rushing to get somewhere. And it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And so I didn't think much about it. I thought it had to do with my behavior with my daughter. But as it turns out, my mother calls me at 5 o'clock and she said, your uncle passed away. And he passed at 4 o'clock. And something in my head said, don't say a word, just accept that he passed at 4, when I knew it was probably 2 o'clock. So I was very sad, extremely sad. He was amazing. And actually, he's part of my team now. He was a CFO for a very well-known international company, and he was a self-made millionaire. So whenever I have problems with finances, I call on him.
He's your go-to guy.
Oh, he is my go-to guy. And you know what? Whenever I smell burnt toast, no, I'm not having a stroke. It's my uncle, because he was known for burning the toast. So, long story short. So anyway, I spoke to his widow and I said, my mother just called. I heard about my uncle. I'd like to know if there is anything I can do to help you. And she said, yeah, he passed at 4 o'clock. And I said, no, he didn't. He passed at 2 o'clock. And she said, how did you know that? And I said, I saw it. I knew something was up. I just didn't know what it was. And she said, well, I really didn't want to say that he passed at 2 o'clock when I spoke to your mother, because I couldn't get to her till 5. So that was one of those big moments that I can recall off the top of my head. Yeah.
That's a really good one.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. And you said something that I say when people ask me if I have children. I say, yes, I do. I have 2 daughters. One lives in Northern California and one lives in Spirit.
Yeah.
Because I feel like to say I have one daughter and the other daughter's dead, that it doesn't feel right to me. It doesn't feel like I'm honoring her, because I'm very clear that she's still here. She's just in a different dimension.
Exactly. And you know what? With mothers that like clients, I'll say, you have 3 children. They say, no, I have 2. And I said, well, you must have lost one. They usually say yes. And I say, okay, well, according to the spirit world, you've got 3. They don't leave you.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you know that too.
I do know that, because I was fortunate that I had an experience quite similar to what you had with your uncle. So it became very clear to me that we sometimes are told, in our lives, that this is all there is. We're the only civilization. When you die, you die. And
No.
holy golly, that's just not the case. And it's so comforting for those of us who have lost loved ones to understand that. So can you talk a little bit about, I know most of the people that come to you for mediumship, I know you do intuitive coaching, you also do psychic readings and mediumship, but most of the people that come to you to do mediumship are at least in some stage of grief.
Yes.
It could be very intense grief, or maybe just a longing to connect with a loved one that maybe passed quite some time ago. Can you talk a little bit about how you work with them to help them understand where their loved ones are in relation? Like, can you talk to us about, are they right here? Are they right here? Are they?
I do feel them standing beside me when I'm speaking, and it could be right, left, or in behind. But, the first thing I say to my clients is this: I'm not a counselor. I'll be happy to connect you with your loved one. But if I feel that the grief is really deep, I will suggest that they get a grief counselor, because I'm not enough for them. Because what I find is, as soon as the session is finished, they think their spirit people are gone. And then they wait for the next time to see me, thinking that, there's a huge hiatus between sessions, and they have to learn that their grief is actually creating a boundary around them energetically, because the spirit people don't want to upset them more. So they are very subtle about reaching out to their loved ones But if they're willing to take the step to come and see someone like me, they're not subtle. They're like, their personality shows, they talk about instances that happened in their life with the loved one here still, or they talk about something that just happened a couple of days ago, which indicates that they are around them because they know about this, or they'll say happy birthday, and because they know they're one of the people that are still here is going to have a birthday and they want to be involved. But until the grief is at a place where spirit feels that they can be received in a place that won't hurt their loved one who's still in this world, they kind of are subtle. They'll come in dreams, and those are called visitations, have nothing to do with me. That will be between the client and their loved one. It creates sort of a chance for the subconscious to be more available and the conscious to kind of get quiet. So our logical mind's not going to dismiss the experience. And we go home, heaven, 3 to 5 times a week anyway. So the loved ones who have just moved into the spirit world, they are really, most of them are really, really good, unless they've been sick, like a long-term illness. They're really good to connect with their loved ones in spirit. So, and a lot of people dismiss that as not knowing what that is. And then as and I tell my clients, as you progress through your grief, and you do have to grieve, there's no fast track using a medium, you will find that there'll be subtle instances where you think, wait a minute, I just feel somebody in the room with me. Or the bed just moved when I laid down. I was lying down and I just felt the bed move. And it could be your loved one crawling into bed with you if that's what the two of you would have done. Sometimes people will hear, footsteps along the hall, or they may smell a cologne that's associated with a particular spirit person, or all of a sudden, boom, they're in your head. Active imagination, never really thought about it. But if we don't recognize that that's spirit reaching out to us, we will just dismiss it. And they work very hard to stay connected. I'm sure you understand this, Kimberly, don't you?
I do. But can you speak to that? They work very hard to stay connected. Talk to me, is it an effort for them to connect with us, or is it that they spend a lot of energy making sure that they're still involved in our lives?
They are involved in our lives because they are connected to us through love. The hard part is getting through the grief. It's like knocking on a door. Can you please open the door? I'm here. I'm here. Sorry?
Is it because the energy is so dense, or is it because the person in grief is not recognizing the signs, or a little of both?
It feels like there's a smoke screen around the person. It doesn't look like that, but it feels like that. I actually sense it when I'm reading for somebody who's in tremendous grief. It feels like I'm trying to get through a curtain.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know what? That's normal, and I'm not saying that it's a bad thing or a good thing. It just is. Spirit has a difficult time getting through while this person is grieving deeply. As the grief gets lighter and lighter, so does this curtain. Yeah, and then they will keep trying until they get there. And again, remember, we are living in a logical state. Like, we have rules, we have regulations, we use logic to figure things out, but this is not logic. This is creativity. This is a right brain function. So we have a sense that we need to make this logical. And most of the time we go to a place of, when spirit reaches out to us, we go, okay, I'm just making this up. Because our logical side is trying to keep us safe and keep us in the world of left brain thinking. Don't do that. Yeah, it's a very creative experience.
Now, in my work, I connect my clients to their loved ones in spirit during hypnosis. And
Mm.
don't ask me how this happened. It's nothing I set out to do in life. It just sort of like, I seriously think I just got led to it,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden connected it. And during my sessions, and I'm very similar to you in that I can't work with people who are in tremendous grief,
Right.
just because I don't feel like they'll be able to have the experience that they're looking for. That we have to get to a place where there's at least an understanding
Mhm.
that life goes on. Yes, I miss them, and yes, I do want to connect.
Mhm.
So during hypnosis, I've had clients that actually I'm completely out of the picture, and they're nodding their head and laughing and having this conversation in their head with their loved one or loved ones, more than one, and having this complete experience, not only hearing them but feeling them. What I think that is that that left side of the brain is out of the way and the right side is not doubting. It's just connecting and just feeling the overwhelming love they feel
Yeah.
is consistent from every session. So I'm thinking it's because that doubting left brain is pushed aside. That's why they're so easily able to connect. What are your thoughts?
I agree. It's like being in the sleeping state. It's a sleeping state, right? I don't know much about
Mm-hmm.
hypnosis, but it's like what I know with the dream state, how we let the conscious go to sleep so the subconscious can be where we are,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when everything opens up.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if we can, it's that acknowledgement of, instead of doubting the sign, saying, yeah, I think that was it. If that doesn't lead to a greater connection, which leads to a greater connection, which leads to a greater connection, and pretty soon, my goal is that my clients can connect on their own, that
Yeah.
they get that vibratory resonance
Mhm.
and know that's what they're hearing.
You know, a lot of the people that come to see me have such a belief system in place that has to be kind of set aside, and that's very difficult for them. So
Mm-hmm.
they not only have the grief, but they also have what they've grown up with, and there's a lot going on here that they have to get past in order for them to be available to the spirit world. But what I say to my clients is, you know what? If you have a soul, you're a spirit, and you're having a human experience. The
Mm-hmm.
only difference between them and us is we've got this, this, as my chiropractor says, the meat suit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the only difference between them and us.
Mm-hmm.
And we are telepathic beings. How many how many have people have you heard of that, especially mothers, where you just think, oh God, there's something going on here. I need to make a call. And sure enough, your kid's really glad you were in touch with them and all's well.
Mm-hmm.
That's intuition. That's something that's born in us. And I'm not saying fathers can't do it either. It's just that I'm a mom, so I know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
Yeah.
have a story about that.
Oh, please tell.
So I had a 14-year-old daughter who's now well into her 30s. So I love her to bits. She's a good friend
Goodbye.
of mine. I'm not mom anymore. I'm more friend, and she freaks out when I say that. But anyway, she was 14 years old. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, and she's not home. Yeah, I'm freaking out. So I said to the guys, those are the name for my spirit guides. Okay, guys, you need to show me where she is. Now we're talking about Toronto, Ontario, which is, I don't know, 3.5 million people at the time. So it's a big city.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, I get in the car and I put my radar on, this one. I found her.
Oh,
I
you
found her.
did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so tell us how that happened. Like how did
I was just led. I saw it before I got there.
it was like turn here, turn there, she's over here, over there, that kind of
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah. It's not easy living with a psychic.
I guess does she
Especially
ever
when it's your mom. Sorry?
did she complain that she never got away with anything?
Not much. Mm-mm. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So,
So let's talk for a minute about the concept of soul groups. And
okay.
let's talk about it in the broader concept of we hear that before we incarnate, come into these meat suits, we come with a mission or lessons that we want to address and kind of the broad strokes of how that's going to unfold. And that we also come in with a family or a soul group or different energies, souls that have decided to take different roles in our lives. And we're all going in to move forward these lessons or these experiences, this expansion of our souls. Can you talk a little bit about what your experience with those concepts have been in the context of your work?
Well, I feel that you and I are on the same page
Mm-hmm.
because I do, from my work, I have experienced just what you've talked about. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We are put together to progress our soul. What's really cool is that we could be male in one life, female in another. We could be different races. We could be different religions. Because if you believe in the concept that we're all one,
Mm-hmm.
we could be anything that we choose in order to progress our soul. We can also choose to be disabled as well. And the more seeming difficulties that we have in our lifetime, the more we can have the opportunity to progress. So we group together because we've had experiences in other lifetimes that we can build on to progress perhaps further or faster.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how you know it is that you look into somebody's eyes and you think, I know you. I just don't know why I know you, but I know you. And you know, truly the eyes are the windows of the soul. And that's how I have connected with my soul group. Plus, you know, usually our children are part of our soul group.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I don't know whether you notice this or not, but maybe some of your kids appear as though they're the parent and they're trying to parent me, the mom. And, you know, it's because they were the parent the last time and now they decided to switch roles. So yes, it does happen. Now, not all of our loved ones are necessarily here. They may be watching out for us over there.
Mm-hmm.
And this is controversial, but I'm going to give it to you anyway.
Right.
I don't believe that our soulmate is here on the earth at the same time that we are. I feel that they're watching over us.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that what this soulmate is part of the soul group who is reincarnated.
Okay.
And now some of us think, why in heaven's name did we marry this person? Well, they're part of our soul group. They're giving us a rough time because if we didn't have these challenges, we would not change.
Mm-hmm.
If it's all love and light, what's the point of being on the planet? We're here for an accelerated experience. So our soul mate is kind of comforting us in these difficult times on the other side, perhaps through dreams, perhaps through visitations, if you can recognize spirit to comfort us. So, yeah.
So is it your belief that members of our soul group who are maybe not incarnated on earth right now are over on the other side acting as our guides?
I would say that they're our guardians. Our guides are assigned to us with millennia of experience. So say you want to be the next president of the United States, you would hope that one of your guides has got that kind of experience that they could guide you in that way. Humans don't have that. They have the love and the connection and the experience from lifetimes, but guides earn that title. It is actually a title.
It is.
Yeah, from what I understand, yes, it's a title. And it comes through, as I say, millennia of experience. And you know, when you get through whatever it is that they're really good at, they leave and someone else comes in. Some other guide comes in to help you.
Yeah.
So it should be a revolving door and you should never be sad that they've left. It's actually showing you that you've progressed
Mhm.
to something else.
Yeah. Now, you personally, do you work, well, you must work very closely with your spirit guides. And do you know who they are? Are you on a first name basis? How does that work for you, being so connected?
Okay, this is controversial again. I will
Go for
preface it
it.
by saying I have no idea who they are, and I don't have names for them.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, and it's because I know they're there. I just have had the trust built to the point where I know they're there. Um, I say a prayer before I have my sessions with my clients. I feel energy shift when I do that, and that's enough for me to know that they're on board.
Mhm.
Names, fine, go ahead and name them. They don't mind, but
Mhm.
it is a human concept. And how I discern them is through their energy.
Okay, so talk
Yeah.
about that. Explain what that means for you.
Well, anybody who's a psychic medium or anybody who's in hypnosis and working with the psychic mediumship realm should have protectors. They're
Mhm.
called gatekeepers. And the
Okay.
more we work in this realm, the more we have. They are like gladiators. You don't mess with them. They keep you protected from the lower realms. I'm sure
Mhm.
you understand what I'm talking about there.
Mhm.
And they feel very strong, like they feel like, like I'm solidly here and you're okay and we're going to take care of you. That's the feeling.
Okay.
When I have them, then what I do is I tap into the guides and angels of the people who are coming to see me if it's a psychic reading. Because
Mhm.
I don't really want to do the telephone thing that my guides will figure out what their guides are talking about, and then their guides will tell my guides who will tell me. The
Mhm.
telephone game can be kind of
Yes.
messed up.
Yeah.
So I assume that my guides are with me, protecting me and supporting me, but I go to their guides and angels. That's how
Mhm.
I work. Yeah.
Interesting. And can you feel energetically feel the difference in the energy between your guides and their guides?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
The best way I can say it is my guides are more familiar. That's the best way. There's a
Okay.
different pattern to them, and I can't even put my finger on it. I just know. It's something that's beyond logic for me.
Yeah. I have that experience before I go into a session. I bring in a whole host of support.
Mhm.
I bring in angels and archangels and my guides and ascended masters and my family and spirit. And it is every one of them the energy feels specific and unique. And they come in a different place.
Mhm.
And the angels come in at this place, my family comes in this place.
Mhm.
And then, and this blew me away, but when I started working more specifically with people who wanted to connect with their loved ones come into me before the session.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
and every everyone, every single loved one feels different,
Yes.
feels unique.
Mhm.
And I'm not a medium. They don't talk to me, but by golly, can I feel them?
Mhm.
And I get a sense, like I had one gentleman that came in, he was a fiance, he passed before the marriage. He came in and his essence was just saying, thank you, thank you. And
Mhm.
that's just what I heard. And
Mhm.
everyone is so unique and that's so hard to describe,
Mhm.
but it's like if you were to walk into a room and see your mother there, you would have all this sense of who mom is.
Yes.
Upon seeing her, that's what it feels like to me. Is it
Yes.
similar for you?
Yes. Well, spirit take their mind, their memory, their soul, and their personality home with them.
Your mind?
So they are themselves without the body.
Okay.
So for me, it's like going into a party and I've never met them before, and you need to introduce yourself to me because I don't know you. So
Mm-hmm.
talk to me, let me know about things so I can tell your loved one that you're here.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they do feel different. One of the things I ask my clients is please don't send me your photographs until 24 hours prior. Don't send me your written questions. Keep them to yourself because I need your voice and the questions asked because it gives me permission to go into your space because I'm like permission based. I really don't want to go there, but if you ask me, I can do that. Because if I start getting all this information, I am sitting with it until I see the person.
Oh, so
yeah, it's too much. It's too much energy for me. It's like carrying a knapsack on your back. The spirit people are talking to me and it's like, wait a minute, hold on, just, you know. The other day I had two clients in the morning, and before I even got to see them, Spirit told me, you are going to be very moved and affected by a photograph. I said, okay. So the first person, she had her photographs, no problem. It was actually, a young person. It just didn't affect me. The second client, I opened up the photograph just about 5 minutes beforehand, and it was like, that was the reaction. Oh my God. And it turned out it was her husband and her father, and the husband passed 6 weeks prior to the father. It was overwhelming because I felt that sense of loss, that sadness, not from her, but from the spirit people. So that's why I don't really want to see those things until I'm just about speaking to the client. Yeah. And did you know that photographs capture the energy of the spirit?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting. So give us an example, if you'd like to, of how you connect with the spirit world. Like, would you like to bring in one of your guides or perhaps your mentor or something? What does it look like for people who don't know how this goes?
Oh boy. Okay, this is going to be new for me because it's something I just do automatically. But the first thing I do is I say a prayer. Because I want to protect myself. I want to have an accurate reading. I want it received well. I'd like evidence, and I want accuracy, and I want it accepted. So I kind of set things out for the spirit world, and it's actually a trigger for them. Because when they hear that prayer and they see me lighting a candle, it's oh, Carolyn's on.
Okay, so now people who are not familiar with mediumship and evidential mediumship, can you define for them what it means, what evidence means?
I'm trying to give let me think. So I have a young woman here who's got long hair. Her eyes are brown. She's got this beautiful smile. She likes to wear clothes that are just like here. She doesn't like it up on her neck. I feel as though she loved water and she's on a speedboat of sorts and really enjoys the wind coming through her hair. I actually see her in a bathing suit, and I think water and summer was two very important things. She was very well liked in her community. I feel like she had a circle of 3, I think 3 friends and herself. And she wasn't always on time. Does anything resonate with you about that? Because that's evidence.
Yeah. So how does that come to you? Are you seeing that in your mind's eye? Are you
being given it?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I'm just being given it. I use all 5 senses, so I can see, hear, sense, taste, and touch. No, sorry, taste and smell. So it's all coming in at once. And I really can't tell anymore whether I'm seeing it, hearing it, or sensing it. It's like, boom, yeah.
And so it comes into you and then you just interpret it through talking to your client.
I've been corrected at times. Spirit will say, no, you didn't get that right. Okay. And, I have to speak to that, oh, sorry, not brown eyes, blue, that kind of thing. So, and I'll have to say this, I will believe spirit before I believe that my client. Because I've had psychic amnesia with my client where they didn't know or they had forgotten. Yeah. And when the spirit is so insistent that it was this way and not another way, I have to speak to that. I'm also getting really high pitched ringing in my ears. Are you getting that at all?
Not at the moment, but I do quite often.
That is a sign that spirit's close by, because their resonance is much higher. So when they come closer to our solid bodies, it can be like a high pitched ring in your ear. So I know that whatever I said, I'm surprised it's not resonating with you, because it's the spirit person standing right here beside me talking to me.
Actually, it sounds like my daughter.
Haha, I knew that.
I
We
know,
won't
I
go
just
into
didn't want
that.
to make this all about me. It sounds like my
That's
look.
okay. You know what? I'll tell you this. It's like we're pulling stuff out of the ether, and we have no idea what we're talking about. I've never met your daughter before.
And we've never talked about my daughter, just so that
No,
we have
no,
never talked about her, other than my
no.
daughter had passed. Is the only thing we discussed.
That's it. And I'm thankful you did that, because now you know she's really talking to me. And yeah, you might think that this is all about you, but you know what? This is what I do, is I connect loved ones with those still here, and I'm happy to do that for you. My ears are screaming. They're so loud. She must be a very big personality in your life. I mean, I don't think that there's a day that goes by that you don't know she's there.
I do have a lot of experiences, and even though I do the work I do, I still struggle with that. Oh, am I making it up? But I honestly, I talk to her all the time. I
Good.
feel her all the time. We have a very close, for me, a very, very close relationship.
For her too, and I will say this, can you do her a favor? Just ignore trying to make it logical. It's not going to work. And the more that you can acknowledge it, even if you don't trust it, you will actually strengthen the bond between you and her, and in the way of communication. I mean, as mother and daughter, you're very strong, but as in a way of communicating. And I feel too, if I may say, that she may be helping you with your work.
Yeah, I think that,
Yeah.
it's that mystery, Carolyn, that we'll go through in life where all these unusual things happen, and you trying to figure out how all the puzzle pieces fit. And they haven't quite all clicked into place for me yet, but it's pretty powerful what's going on. So thank you for that. Thank you for sharing your
Thank you for coming wherever you
Okay, so for the viewers out there, and I know that we're probably reaching a lot of people who are struggling. The grief can be overwhelming.
Yes.
Particularly for parents who have lost a child.
Yeah.
What would you like to say to them? I'm kind of getting choked up thinking about it, because I know how it can be. What would you like to say to them, if they're doubting, if they want to believe but they don't quite believe, they think it might be kidding themselves, or they're afraid to go down that they'll be disappointed? What would you like to say to them to help them truly understand that, yes, their loved ones are right, they're right here?
Take the time to grieve, number one. Take care of yourself. Know that your loved ones have not gone far away. Heaven isn't far, far away. It's in a different dimension. And watch for the signs. One of the things that I notice with spirit are these sparkly white lights. And if there's anything that you recognize, Kimberly, please tell me. They're usually above your head, and they look like little Christmas tree lights, and you think your eyes are playing tricks. There's that spirit light. I call them angel trails. Taking photographs, especially if family is gathering, whether it's Christmas, Hanukkah, Thanksgiving, doesn't matter. Take lots of photographs, and you may have these milky white circles that show up. Those are called spirit orbs. And I was told that a sphere or a circle is the easiest form to create for a spirit.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. Then the high pitch ring. They leave things around the house, or they take things.
Or they take things.
Yeah. Now, they love to leave coins. Now, in Canada, unfortunately, we don't have the penny anymore. So no more pennies from heaven, but they do leave things like dimes, quarters, nickels, more dimes because 10 is a very spiritual number. Don't spend the money. I've got pots of coins all over my house because even after 40 years of doing this work, I think, come on, because everything, you can't touch it. But those coins remind me that it's real. Some people have found feathers. Some people find keys in weird places, like I'm sure I left it on the kitchen counter. Why is it in the bedroom on my pillow, right? Those kinds of things. Sometimes photographs fall over or get crooked and nobody touched it. And if you look at the picture, it's probably a deceased person in the photograph just saying, I'm here, hi. Those shadows that you see on the side of your eye, in the peripheral vision, those shadows are spirit people. And it's not that they're bad or anything. That's just how they show themselves is through that. You do? Good. And of course, when you look, there's nothing there, right? The other day, I have this huge, let's see, it's 3 by 4 foot stained glass angel. And I'm giving this person a reading and it starts swinging. Yeah, I've never had that happen before. And I acknowledged it. And when I did, it stopped swinging. So, they are around. Now, I do have a YouTube video where I've talked specifically about this. It's called Signs from Spirit. So, you don't have to remember it right away. I mean, there are other ways of looking into this.
I'm so glad you brought that up because that's one of the favorite things that you've offered out into the world that I so appreciate is your little snackable content, YouTube videos that really address great questions about the spirit world. And everyone who's watching, I encourage you to head on over to YouTube, type in Carolyn Molnar and check out all her videos. They're so helpful. I watch at least a couple every few days. Carolyn answers the questions that we all have, and she does it in a way that's very clear, very, very easy to understand in layman's terms, and quick, so that we get the answer really quick. So YouTube, how else can people get a hold of you, Carol, and find you?
Well, there's my website, which is carolynmolnar.com. There is Twitter at Carolyn Molnar. Let me see.
You're also on Instagram because I follow you.
Yep, I'm there too. And I'm also on Facebook.
Okay, great.
I also have, if people are in the Toronto area, I also have a monthly newsletter that lets people know what I'm up to with the events and stuff like that. And I recommend that you sign up on my website so that you can keep in touch with me.
Wonderful. So do you travel at all and do your work, bring your work around to cities in the US or other parts of Canada?
I will say this, I've always wanted a world tour. I'm working on it, but I find that it's starting to roll. And again, if somebody wants to know where I'm going to be, it will be on my website. But right now, I have been into the States. I've been as south as Florida. I've been in Ohio. I've been in New York State. I'm all over Canada, which doesn't help my American people, sorry. And I do, mostly the readings I do now are with Skype and telephone. People really have a hard time with that.
Yeah,
they do. It's just as effective as being in person. And the thing is, yeah, it is, because spirit doesn't care. All they know is the sound of your voice. That's it.
That's it. Yeah. Wonderful. Well, Carolyn, I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed this. I feel like I've made a new friend.
You have.
Yeah, the information you shared has been so valuable, and I know it's going to help so many people, and I've just enjoyed our conversation so much. So thank you.
You are welcome. Thank you.
Episode #1 of Interview with a Medium. You'll always be #1 in my book. So thank you very much, and we look forward to having you on again sometime soon.
Me too. I look forward to it. Thank you, Kimberly.
Bye, Carolyn.